Central Asian nation of Kazakhstan. Security forces violently dealt with protesters holding anti-government demonstrations against a spike in fuel prices. President Tokayev ordered an anti-terrorist operation to break down the demonstrations. And in a recent turn of events, with the government resigning from office, Russia and its allies have pledged to send troops to help quell the protests in Kazakhstan. So let's take a look at what's happening in the country and how it affects the rest of world politics. First of all, why are these protests happening? Well, the growing dissatisfaction amongst people against the autocratic President Tokayev's rule has sparked initial public anger. It was over a spike in fuel prices which further escalated into broader discontent with government over corruption, living standards, poverty and unemployment. The anti-government demonstrations had initially begun in the oil city of Zhanaozen, where various oil workers were protesting against poor working conditions. These demonstrations then broke out and quickly turned violent in cities and towns. This series of protests is the most significant wave of protests in Kazakhstan's history. Protesters demanded the resignation of the government and the lowering of LPG prices. When President saw the matter slipping away from his grip, Tokayev appealed to the Collective Security Treaty Organization, a Moscow-based alliance of 6 former Soviet countries, for help. Russia majorly dominates this organization, and the rest of the countries include Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. The members of the organization have taken it upon themselves to tackle the situation in the nation by sending what troops call peacekeeping forces. The Kremlin has regularly condemned street protests in the former Soviet states, labeling them as attempts by the West to overthrow governments and destabilizing the rule. Kazakhstan is the 9th largest country globally, and it shares its borders with powerful countries like Russia to the north and China to the east. It isn't an unknown fact that the government has extensive oil reserves. Kazakhstan is also the world's largest supplier of nuclear fuel, making it strategically and economically important. Uranium prices surged by almost 8%, and Kazakh bonds and the tenge slipped as well. However, luckily enough, there was no sign of disruption to oil output. While Kazakhstan has been prosperous in attracting millions of dollars worth of foreign investment, its authoritarian government has been widely criticized for smothering fundamental provisions. The government has now resigned in response to the unrest, and now the country's first deputy prime minister, Alykhan Smailov, is the acting PM. Now that you're up to speed, check out some of our other videos to stay up to date. I'm Holly Shields for Kalkine Media.